Greetings. This is Doc Ock here, coming at you live and direct from Black Fact Central today with part 2 of Esteban, an African explorer. But before we go there, let's go ahead and do our due diligence. Let's go ahead and read our proverb of the day, which is, a bad son gives a bad name to his mother. A bad son gives a bad name to his mother. And you know that's, oh, wait a minute. Don't remember what country that's from. I'd have to go back and look that one up. All right, moving on though. We're going with the poem today by Gil Scott-Heron out of a new book we just got of Gil Scott-Heron. Just got this in yesterday, called Gil Scott-Heron Now and Then, which does have a lot of the same poems as the previous book, the other book that we're reading of Gil Scott-Heron's, but it's also got some unusual, fresh, new, never before heard poems in here as well. And we're going to read one of those that goes right along with our theme today. We're going to talk about some aliens, not from outer space. We're going to talk about an alien from inner space. So let's go ahead and talk about these aliens. Midnight near the border, trying to cross the Rio Grande, running with coyotes to where the streets are paved with gold. You're diving underwater when you hear the helicopters, knowing it's all been less than worthless. If you meet the border patrol, hiding in the shadows, so scared that but you dare not make a sound. If you want to hold on to your dreams, hold on. It may not be a lot. Hold on, because you know it's all you've got. No matter the consequences or the fear that grips your senses, you have got to hold on to your dreams. City of the Angels, with this bright light fascination, only adds to the confusion that your mind must now endure. The gringos take advantage when they know that you're illegal, but you avoid la policia like a plague that can't be cured. Pena mordida lets you know what pollos means, but you dare not file complaints if you want to hold on to your dreams. Hold on. It may not be a lot. Hold on, because you know it's all you got. No matter the consequences or the fear that grips your senses, you've got to hold on to your dreams. Down at Western Union, sending cash back to your family, or drinking down cervezas where the lights are very low, your mind may start to wander when you think about your village or the woman that you love so much who's still in Mexico. At just $2 an hour, there's little to redeem this life, except that in your mind, you've got to hold on to your dreams. Hold on, it may not be a lot. Hold on, because you know it's all you've got. No matter the consequences or the fear that grips your senses, you've got to hold on to your dreams. Yeah, interesting poem, all about aliens. I really thought he was going to talk about some other aliens. However, that's okay. It all works together. So now, moving on to Esteban, an African explorer of America, part 2. I don't need my glasses for this one because the print is pretty clear. Let's see what I got here. Oh, I showed you the picture in the beginning. There we go. There's an image. That does not look like what Esteban would have looked like necessarily. Okay, it's just an artist's rendition, an imaginary picture of a man who was very real. But you do have some dates down there, 1500 to 1539. I believe that's the time period that he lived in. Okay, and he came here in about 1520, so he was like 20 years old. Then he walked, and he walked, and he walked. And when he finished doing all that walking, he walked some more. Okay, all the way across the country from Florida, deep South Florida, all the way up through the Panhandle. And I know because that took us 2 days to drive out of Florida, and we weren't even in the daggone Panhandle. We were just down in Tampa Bay, okay, with them white sandy beaches. And it took us 2 days to get out of there in a motorized vehicle. So I could only imagine how long and what kind of hardships you had to endure if you had to walk from further south in Florida all the way up through the Panhandle and keep on going all the way to Mexico City, which is a good 2,000 miles from, or at least a good 1,000 miles from the border. But the way that they went, here's the map that shows the path they went on, and you can see it's a very meandering path. So they started off over here. We started on the other side of the Atlantic, okay, in West Africa, Azamor. And then he came over the ocean and they landed here, which is in Hispaniola, right? On the side that's now the Dominican Republic. Then they traveled by boat again to Cuba, and then on to Florida. And as you can see, Tampa Bay, that is where they landed at. So yeah, like I said, driving in a car, it's a good 2 days to get from Tampa Bay, just coming right on up here and then going all the way over here into the next state. That's 2 days driving. So yeah, he had a lot of walking to do. And then, they did actually get in a boat though. They took part of this was in a boat, but it was a very small, like a rowboat. It was not a very well made boat. Matter of fact, that might have been the one I think that's the boat they had to make, because their other boat crashed or wrecked. Something happened to their previous mode of transport, or their horses got killed. Okay, so that's the part we're at right now. We're going to read about that part right there while they were still in Tampa Bay. We're not even going over the 7 cities of Cibola yet. Okay, but just that part right there. And so here we are. We left off yesterday. I'm going to start from up here at the top. It says here that Esteban lived in Spain for a short time at least, because his Spanish master, Andres Dorantes, said that Esteban was a Christian. Spanish rulers in those days insisted that everyone living in their country become a Catholica. In June of 1527, Esteban sailed with his master to the New World. They were among 600 others, mostly soldiers and few settlers, all crammed in to the 5 ships commanded by the conquistador Panfilo de Narvaez. The ships landed first at Hispaniola, where Christopher Columbus had first started the first Spanish colony in the New World. Then they stopped in Cuba to get supplies and make repairs. Unlike many other slaves, Esteban was not taken off to work in the plantations of either colony. He was needed to carry supplies into the wilderness that was North America. His master was one of Narvaez's captains, and they were sailing on to explore the mainland. Narvaez had the commission from the King of Spain to explore, conquer, and settle all the unknown land from the Florida Peninsula to the Rio Grande. No Spaniard could start on an expedition without such a commission. 8 years earlier, Alonso de Pineda, an explorer looking for a way to the Pacific, had made a rough chart of the coast, but no European or African either knew what lay beyond the coast. The chart maker had heard rumors of 7 great cities to the north. Hernan Cortez had heard the same stories when he conquered Mexico City. With each retelling, the cities became richer and grander. It was said that even the streets shone with emeralds and the rivers ran over golden sands. Such stories passed away the long sea voyage, and for Esteban and the other slaves, they gave hope of freedom. In those days, the Spaniards often paid their slaves for doing extra work. And when the slaves had enough money to pay back their purchase price, they were freed. The Spanish officers would pay well for such work if the expedition found gold in the gleaming cities of North America. Esteban might quickly earn his freedom. With some such thoughts, perhaps, Esteban saw the western shore of Florida appear out of the afternoon haze. That was on April 12, 1528. From then on, his life story is part of our history. So, chapter 2, a golden rattle. On Good Friday, Governor Narvaez landed with as many men as his little boats would hold. And when we arrived at the huts we had seen, we found them, quote unquote, abandoned. Okay, hey Ronnie, what's going on over there? I see you. Who else is that out there? Kelly, Takunda. Oh, hey Kelly. All right. The Indians had fled that night in their canoes. One house was so large it could hold more than 300 people. The others were smaller. We found a gold rattle among their nets. You know, that's all they had to find is one gold object. And it's off to the races. The Beza de Vaca, the treasurer of the expedition, when he made his report of the landing in North America, though he wrote it 10 years later, two things still stood out in his memory: the big house and the golden toy. The golden toy to Panfil de Narvaez and to the soldiers and settlers who landed with him, the toy proved the old stories were true. Somewhere in this land, beyond the dunes, beyond the bay, there were truly cities of gold. How rich their people must be if they left gold toys lying about. Esteban wriggled his bare toes in the hot, dry sand. He saw huts made of sticks and palm leaves. The big house was like the others except for its size. In Africa, the Berbers made the same sort of huts. They were poor people, Esteban knew, and their babies had no gold toys. The builders of these huts must be poor too. If so, where had the golden rattle come from? Perhaps the hut builders were slaves. Perhaps they worked in the 7 cities of gold. Narvaez seemed to think so. Without waiting for the Indian inhabitants to come back, he called his people together and declared himself governor. This village and all the land around it belongs to the King of Spain. It shall be called La Bahia de la Cruz. Then the governor of the Bay of the Cross, Tampa Bay, right? Received Esteban's master and the other officers. The bay was now Spanish territory, so he must have stuck a flag in the ground too, you'd have to assume. And on Easter Sunday, when the Indians finally did come back, the new governor ignored them. He ignored their angry shouts. You can imagine, this is like the 3 little bears. You know, the 3 bears, right? The 3 bears, they go out hunting or they go out on to a concert or wherever the heck the bears go to during the day and come back. And here Goldilocks is in their bed. That ate their food, done broke their chairs. Okay? So he ignored them, their angry shouts, pretended not to see, didn't even see their shaking fists. And at last, still shouting, the Indians paddled away again in their canoes. They were Timucuan Indians we know now. 3 days later, the Spanish soldiers captured 4 Indians and brought them before the Narvaez, the new governor of the territory. Again, the Spaniard turned his back. Just turned around. He wasn't going to talk to him at all. But this time, he commanded someone to question the Indians for him. Now, nobody spoke Indian or Timucuan or whatever they call their language. By doing this, he hoped they would understand that he was a great and important man, too great and important, too important to talk with them. Though Cabeza did not say so in his report, it seems likely that Esteban was the interpreter. He did all the talking with the Indians at later times. He spoke Spanish easily. And though he did not know the language of the 4 captives, he had the golden rattle to help show what Narvaez wanted. Gold, he asked. Do you have more of this? You got me more of these rattles around? He pointed to the rattle and with his hands shaped huge piles of gold, castles of gold. The Indians answered with signs and words. To the north, they told him. There was everything the strangers wanted. There was a large town called Appalachian, from which we get the Appalachian Mountains. Its people were very rich. They were the richest of all the peoples in that region. Esteban watched the Indians closely. He was trying to learn each sign they made, each word they spoke, but he was puzzled. To the north, he could see nothing but scrub oaks and pine trees growing low and twisted over the flat, sandy land. How far is this Appalachian? He asked. Very far, the Indians replied. Many days' journey from here. Then one of the Spaniards stepped forward impatiently. He gave the black interpreter a handful of corn. Like many others with Narvaez, he had come to settle in the new land. He was looking for a place to build a home and plant fields. Esteban showed the corn to the Indians. The people of Mexico grew corn, he had heard. Perhaps these people did too. He knew the expedition needed fresh food. The voyage from Cuba had taken far longer than anyone planned. Supplies of food were low and getting lower. One ship had gone back to Cuba for more food, but it might not return for many weeks. Until it did, Narvaez's people had to find things to eat. Now, I'm going to leave you on that page there, and I'm going to mark it with this $10 bill. There you go. Mark it with a 10, and hopefully when we return here and I read the rest tomorrow, it'll give you a big grin when you hear the rest of this story. Oh, it's quite interesting for sure. But meanwhile, my time has been up. I'm overdue to shut this thing down. So, but we will continue on tomorrow. And in the meanwhile, I'd like all of you out there, if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and give us a like and give us a share. Share this video with somebody else if you enjoyed it, liked it, think it might be interesting to somebody you know. And then if you're on YouTube watching us, you can go ahead and give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you can be a regular viewer and know when we're coming on with a new live stream. We do this twice a day. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9 signing off. Hopefully we'll see you on tomorrow and everything will be fine. Or if you like, you can tune right back in here at 9. We'll be right back and we'll see you then. In the meantime, peace out.